the Therapist's Invitation, formerly known as Candid Conversations.
The was just nice and elongated.
Yeah, I kind of lost where like my brain went through a glitch real quick. I'm Trever Shirin.
I'm Mark Mayfield.
And we are going to pick up on last conversation. If you listened last time we released an episode.
If not, stop.
We haven't stopped. We were teasing this episode the entire time.
Go back and listen to the other one first, and then come back to this one.
But before we get into that topic, just some more teasing, we're going to talk about something good in our lives because good grief, we need that.
I wish that John Krasinski's thing, he was still doing that because that was pretty cool during COVID.
It was really cool.
The episodes were fun.
Yeah.
Something good. Well, I haven't said this publicly. You know, I have on Facebook and Instagram, but we found out that we're pregnant.
Woo!
So that's pretty cool.
Way cool.
You know, I never thought we'd have 3 kids, and here we go. So,
man, my wife and I are so excited for you.
We're stoked, and your little one's gonna have a playmate.
I know she's gonna have so many playmates.
It's like, well,
I mean,
think about the population boom after COVID.
Dude, population boom in Mayfield alone.
Well, true. I know. We've had you guys 1, 2, 3, 7, I think, in the last, or gonna have 7 in the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts.
So crazy. My good thing would probably be I have a trip to Seattle to visit one of my best friends, or my best friend. And it happened super randomly. Like he was supposed to come visit. COVID got in the way. I told my wife that I was feeling really sad about that. And she was like, well, just like fly out
and go.
And I was like, And then I jumped the gun and purchased tickets right after that. And then she was like, oh, great. I'll double down on that idea I had. That wasn't really a full suggestion, but
how many
I
days?
love you.
How many days?
4 or 5.
Okay, it's like a Friday through.
Yeah, Friday through Tuesday.
Okay, so stay safe. It's Seattle.
I know it is Seattle,
but they live in the suburbs, don't they?
They live in like a peninsula south of Seattle,
so
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
I mean, CHOP is not there anymore, so
CHOP.
It's the it was like the autonomous zone that protesters took over the capital area, and it was anarchy for about 15-20 days.
Yeah, no, we're gonna be doing a lot of filming for our podcast that he and I have, and playing board games and going on long walks on the beach to talk about life.
Well, it makes sense because if you know his friend, that just
yeah,
like I know his friend, that fits nicely.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
And both their wives are rolling their eyes right now.
Oh, for sure. But they've been so gracious with us of just saying like, "Hey, we've got the kids. Yeah, both of you just spend time with each other and have it." Because I haven't seen him since last year when he moved out to Seattle.
Right,
which has been a bummer.
It's been a while. Yeah,
it's been a while, and that was really hard for me to like. I felt a lot of feelings about him leaving because I don't do well with ends or people leaving. Like that's just something that's very sensitive for me.
So go back to our last podcast with change, but this is like change on steroids because it's relationship change.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of feelings of like frustration and anger and grumpiness with just like losing my best friend's proximity. And what was helpful in that period is also what we're going to be talking about today.
Right.
And it's a motto that my family has of you can be grumpy, but you can't be mean. And if you want to adopt that for your family, you're welcome to. If you're not sure about it yet, we'll probably be able to convince you by the end of this episode.
Yeah, we adopt that in our family as well.
It's just, it's such a powerful statement. You can be grumpy, but you can't be mean.
Right. And how many times have we, over the last, 5 years that we've known each other, we come in and we're like, how you doing? I'm grumpy. Okay.
Yeah.
Noted. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
But, it is amazing. And I'm going to say this, and I'm very, very opinionated about this. Mm-hmm. And so people feel free to push back. Yeah. But I really believe that if you use your grumpiness as a tool to be mean, you have unparalleled entitlement.
Oof.
Because
that's hard hitting.
It is. But and I mean, it applies to me too, right? Yeah. But how dare you treat me poorly because you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like that just, it does
Yeah.
not compute. Like there is no, like I cannot think of a time, and my wife and people that know me can counter this, but I can't think of a time where I have blown up or reacted on somebody because I'm grumpy. Now, I might have been in a bad mood and the mood affected.
Yeah, and
things.
said something that was maybe a little bit more insensitive than you normally would,
Sure, but
not intentional meanness,
right,
or lashing out. And we talk a lot about emotional intelligence on this show, and one of the things that I constantly tell clients is there are no good or bad emotions.
No, there's not.
There are easier emotions to feel and harder emotions to feel.
Right.
But if I punch you in the face right now, you will probably respond by feeling angry.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be what I would consider a healthy emotional response because
Yeah.
I just punched you in the face.
Laughing, not so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
That's why it's super creepy when the Joker does it.
Yes.
And so if I punch you in the face, you're probably going to feel angry. That is your reaction.
Right.
And then you have the opportunity to respond. You haven't done anything wrong or inappropriate or unhealthy up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if you choose to punch me back in the face, that may or may not be an appropriate or healthy response.
Might be justified.
Might be justified. It might be totally appropriate. There's a lot of different options. But that's where we actually have the necessity on us to be conscious of how we respond. And that's the difference where it's okay for you to be angry. It's not okay for you to kill me because I punched you in the face.
Well, right. Like we talked about last week, there's some things that had happened, with the team. And
Yep.
The team meeting was hard and that kind of stuff. But I made a comment like and I don't know if I did this in the video, if I did this, in the team meeting, but I'm like, you have the right to be upset.
Yeah.
And you have the right to be mad at me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a difference between, am I allowed to feel this way?
Right.
But then what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
And that's where I think the entitlement piece comes. Like, I don't know.
My 4-month-old has every single right to feel uncomfortable and unhappy and grumpy and frustrated and all of the feelings that she can possibly feel. She has every single right to feel those things without any question whatsoever.
Right. And her only way of expressing it right now is?
Yeah, her only way of expressing it right now is through crying.
Mm-hmm.
And so that response is absolutely appropriate.
Right.
Now, when she hits her toddler years, then we start running into, it's okay for you to feel this way, but it's not okay for you to break things around the house.
Right.
Or to hit mom and dad.
Or bite or...
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to communicate with. It's okay to be grumpy, but it's not okay to be mean. Is that your feelings are your feelings.
Nobody can take that away from you.
Right. And we don't even talk about controlling feelings. We talk about managing feelings because you can't actually control your feelings. If if I punch you in the face, you're going to have a feeling.
It happens. It's a reaction.
You're not going to be able to say like, Trevor punched me in the face. I'm going to choose to feel happy about this situation. Like can't we're humans. We can't do that.
We react.
But then the sign of true health is acknowledging I'm really angry. And also I know Trevor and I really don't understand why he punched me in the face. So I need to understand a little bit more what happened before I make a response.
Yeah. Yep.
All of a sudden, I mean, if you want to look like a really mature human being, adopt this motto.
Right. Yes. And find a way then to, when you manage your emotions, find a way to release, because if you hold on to them or you stuff them, you are going to spill over on people.
Right.
Right. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
Managing them means going, okay, I'm aware of how I'm feeling.
It's saying, hey, Mark, I'm grumpy.
Right. Yeah. Like, and in a marriage relationship, my wife will come up to me like this week, like, I can tell you're not doing okay.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah.
Versus, hey, you're grumpy.
Right.
Yeah. I learned that early on. We've been married for 13 years. So
yeah,
I did that before.
I'm not allowed to point out if my wife's grumpy.
I can note, hey, it looks like you're not doing okay. I'm here to support you.
How can I help you?
How can I help you?
Yeah.
Whatever. Good responses there. But a large part of, but even better than that would be coming up to my wife and saying, hey, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit grumpy.
Yep.
Not your problem.
Yep.
but to wanting to give you a heads up.
Yep.
And, if in a marriage relationship, they'd be like, yeah,
right.
sorry. We'll stop that over again.
Mark it.
Sorry.
A little beep. The first beep on any of our shows. We've definitely. I mean, we've been aiming for candidness
Well, there
for
we go.
like 4 seasons or something.
I just said it.
I think we just hit a new level.
Oh my gosh. Well,
that's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, but that's really her response. Like, okay,
You're so frazzled right now.
I'm so frazzled. I'm like, I've never candid.
That's amazing.
I'm just gonna sit with that for a second.
Yeah,
Was not in control of my reaction.
a little real for you in that moment.
Little real.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, I mean, what you're communicating is that we shouldn't be hiding our emotions. We shouldn't be disregarding our emotions or the emotions of the people that we love, because that is not a healthy response.
No, but even in a professional setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to say, hey, boss.
Yeah.
Hey, coworker. Hey, whatever.
Employee.
Rough day.
Yeah.
Not your stone. I'm going to own that.
Yep.
Just letting you know.
Yep.
Versus, gee, I wonder why so-and-so just barfed all over me emotionally.
Yeah.
What did I do to offend them?
Right.
I moved something.
Yeah. Well, and I think a common thing that I've noticed with people who don't manage this very well is that I end up coming out of a conversation with them and I think there's always going to be something.
Sure.
And so these are the people who there's always some reason that they have as an excuse for their poor behavior or poor emotional management. Yeah. They lash out, their hair's on fire, they're just very unkind or disrespectful. And then as you seek to understand what's going on, their car broke down that morning, or their family has this thing going on, or they woke up on the wrong – like there's always something. Mm-hmm. And that does not speak to an ability to manage and own your feelings. It speaks to I'm going to be able to blame everything else for how I treat people.
Yep.
And the way that we can change that is by being able to say – okay, I'm really grumpy right now, and I'd love to be able to lash out at somebody just to make me feel better.
Right.
But I know that the appropriate response for me is to just let you know I'm grumpy.
Yeah. This
is really hitting me sideways right now. I'm going to need a few minutes to kind of think about this before I can respond healthily.
So if my statement about being entitled wasn't bold enough,
oh gosh,
my swearing earlier just now wasn't bad enough. I really do think that if we lash out in our grumpiness, that is a form of bullying.
Wow, getting all the hard hits in.
I'm just saying, and I'll own some of that.
For sure.
That I'm not pointing the finger. I'm like, this is recognizing some of the things I've done in the past. But I mean, how is it any different than bullying?
That's a good point. Well, and I'm thinking too, like everybody has been a bully at some point.
Right.
There's even a story that Mr. Rogers shared where he had told his grandson to go inside and not squirt him with a water gun several times. And then the grandchild didn't listen and he lashed out and told him to go inside and that he wasn't allowed to play anymore, and then had to come in and repair that rupture.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, because really bullying at the end of the day is having a position of power or influence and using that in a harmful way to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe the meanness out of grumpiness really is just a form of bullying.
I'm not going to pull any punches today.
That's brutal.
But I think it's an important. I mean, we need to really reflect on that.
Yeah, and I would also probably wager that if we react emotionally out of really anything, it can be really damaging to relationships. Right. I mean, even if we go on to the opposite end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. So if anybody watches Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's a character named Boyle, and
it's a reminder. You've told me to watch it, and we haven't.
It's such a good one.
We haven't yet.
But there's a phrase that comes up of going full Boyle.
Sure.
And basically what he does is he over leans into his romantic relationships and like on date 2 is trying to propose marriage and like goes way in. And I would say that is him reacting emotionally and not having appropriate boundaries over, I feel this way, but my response is not going to be as dramatic as my feelings.
Right.
And so with all of our feelings, being able to respond with this idea, it's okay to feel it, but it's not okay to react this way.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's really good. And I think as you're listening to this, you might be feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is where we find a lot of engagement in counseling is a lot of people, this might be a wake-up call for you. And you're like, great, this is good. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Real mad at you right now.
Yeah. What do I do with that?
Yeah.
Well, now we need to go back, and we would encourage you to go back and listen to season 1, season 2, season 3.
What do you do with the mad that you feel? What do you feel with the sad that you feel?
Of Mayfield, right. And go, okay, so there's tools that I can utilize to become more emotionally intelligent. Awareness and honesty is really the big first step in that.
Or sit with a counselor.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel like every time that you've been grumpy, you've also been mean, go sit with somebody who you can do that with.
Right.
And the beauty of a counseling relationship is that, Mark, if you were my client and you came in and you were grumpy and you were also mean, I would be able to say, hey, Mark, I'm noticing that you're feeling really grumpy and you're treating me in a mean way.
Right. So how, what's going on, or how
can I talk to me about that. Let's process through it. What are you doing in this? Like, we're able to, like, a counselor's feelings should not be fragile and they shouldn't be easy to offend. I have to say shouldn't.
Air quotes.
And so the benefit is you can come in and you can work through that in a really active way that you won't get in other relationships most likely, and be able to sit with, oh, that was really mean.
Right.
And this is why. And I just maybe don't have enough tools to be able to express, especially for me, I'm an external processor.
Right.
And so if I feel grumpy, I want to be able to process verbally my grumpiness.
Right.
And that opens me up for a lot of opportunity to be mean. But if I can find healthy people and healthy structure around those conversations to be able to say, man, I'm really grumpy. I'm not entirely sure, but like I didn't sleep super well last night and I felt really overwhelmed the moment I woke up this morning. And I just still feel really overwhelmed right now. And then the other person says, yeah, like, I mean, you have a lot on your plate.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that with me. Is there anything I can do to
and it just,
support you today?
It takes that grumpiness and cuts it in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I've avoided the situation where instead I could have gone to that person and be like, what the?
Right. But it goes back to feeling seen, heard, valued, loved, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which may not be accessible for all people.
Right.
In which case, hire a paid friend.
Yep. Well, I think that's a natural end to this conversation. Even though it's a little bit of a shorter podcast, we definitely didn't pull any punches.
Yeah. I mean,
and we had to bleep out one section for the first time.
Thanks for joining us on The Therapist's Invitation. We are so grateful for your continual engagement with the content that we produce, and we would love to be able to hear from you. You can email us candid@mayfieldcounseling.com. You can also reach out to us through the Mayfield Counseling Center's Facebook page.
And then the greatest compliment is share